Okay, guys, alternate ending. Take 43.
With so many movies on the net and TV, it's kind of hard being up and film savvy. Do you catch a show while you're on the go? And how do you know what to keep or what to throw? How do you know what to keep or what to throw? Tune in, tune in, tune in to alternate ending. Tune in, tune in, tune in to alternate ending. Now! Please give a warm welcome to the hosts of Alternate Ending.
Welcome to Alternate Ending. We're discovering good movies, one bad movie at a time. I'm film school dropout Robert Jarasinski. Across from me is our casual moviegoer Carrie Jarasinski and our very own critic in residence Tim Brayton with T2 Trainspotting. I feel like that's a Terminator movie.
It's a deliberate reference. Danny Boyle has mentioned in interviews that the idea was his characters are such sort of cheeky assholes that that's what they would want to have named their sequel.
And I guess they're going back in time to rescue Edward Furlong or something. Is that somehow a tie-in? No?
No.
Well, we'll get to it. It just hit the rental market, and we wanted to look at the entire series as a spoiler alert episode. But first, Carrie, you've placed some sort of concoction in front of us. What do we have here?
So apologies in advance. I'm a week late, but this is the wine that I smuggled home from Italy that I procured for you guys, and I was going to bring it last week. I always forgot. I was a little jet lagged.
Now, before we sample this wine, I need to ask one question.
Yes.
Where did you smuggle it?
You mean like physically?
Yes.
In my suitcase?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Less provocative.
It's the 750 milliliter bottle. So
yeah, you mentioned bottle. It isn't.
If it was a train or airplane bottle, different story.
All right.
But,
it does take an unfamiliar form. I am used to the box form.
Right.
So this is all new to me.
This is a lot
they
of.
They put wine in glass bottles
strange.
these days. Very fancy.
I know. Wait. So I'm going to pour you guys a little bit, just a little taste, and we'll go around the room and just briefly tell me what you think about my Italian wine.
So this is a Chianti, a 2014 Chianti.
24 aged?
I think it is a young Chianti. I might start by saying that.
Do you mean they should be older?
I mean that 2014 is it's ready to drink, but you could cellar this one for a couple of years.
Okay, so after you guys take this, I'm going to close it up, no more,
that
and
is
then I'm going to put
exactly
it
how
away.
It works. Perfect.
I know.
Good
All right,
call.
try it, Tim. Tell me what you think. I'm so excited.
It's got a real fruity.
Fruit forward?
Very fruit forward. The bouquet is extremely like
Any tar?
I'm working on it. There is. It's like tar and dying squirrels, like in a hot summer car sort of thing going on.
I'm gonna try and see. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Really?
Oh, it's spicy. It's got that real kick. There's like a pepper, a punch you right in the nads sort of pepper thing at the end. I like it.
Is that a good thing?
I like it.
Oh, good.
Thank goodness we're not a wine review podcast. That's all I have to say.
This wine makes me feel like my dick just got 10 sizes bigger.
The rest of the bottle is yours, Tim.
All
the
right.
rest of the bottle.
I just can't tell. Like I like my box wine.
So
I really do.
Let me tell you why.
So there's this you don't taste the pepper.
Oh, there's pepper.
Does your tongue not work, Rob?
No, it does, and it tastes bland compared to the box
Is there pepper
wine.
in your paprikash?
No, there's not.
Is that a movie reference?
That is a movie reference.
It's
When
a movie.
Harry Met Sally.
Thank you.
That's the one.
Oh, I should have known that.
It's a good movie.
It is good. So this bottle of wine is brought to you. It was free.
Nice. The best
Free
kind.
by the hotel.
Free Chianti is my favorite kind of Chianti.
It's actually pretty good. I thought it was going to be terrible.
No, that's. Oh, well, thank you for testing your shit free wine on us. No, I ordinarily I'm not a Chianti drinker. This is really good. It's not too crazy dry, which is usually what I don't like all that much about a lot of reds.
Yeah.
And it's got that really nice, like spicy, like really acidic thing going on. I like it.
You can go back to the box.
Yeah, this
Tim and I
is
are
the
gonna-
opposite of bland wine, by the way. This is wine that's
really
like
good.
pummeling my tongue with grapes.
I'll be going back to
So
the box, and then we can go back to reviewing movies. How about that?
We'll do that, Rob.
You guys want to talk about some movies you saw since the last episode?
Yeah.
All right, Care. Worth mentioning. How many movies have you seen?
I saw the 3, I think. Did I see more than 3?
You're asking me.
I'm asking you.
I'm not your keeper.
Keep my notes.
I'm not
Keep
your
my notes
keeper.
for me, Rob. So I think I saw 3. The one notable one that we won't talk about as a part of the episode, I saw Big Hero 6.
Nice. Finally.
Yeah.
Finally. After Rob said that I lied to my kids about watching it, which I did, I was like, well, I got to get out there and watch it.
Yeah, I can't lie to your children. It's
I
a
know.
sin.
I thought I had seen it, but clearly I hadn't. So this now is my 10th favorite Pixar movie.
Which is amazing because it's a Disney movie.
It's at least my 27th favorite Disney movie.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And it was, again, 27. I would rank it there in Disney. Directed by Don Hall, written by Jordan Roberts. So everyone's seen this movie, but maybe no.
Everyone at this table has.
Yeah.
Everyone at this table has.
I would personally, I would rank it in my low 30s out of Disney movies.
Okay.
If you're asking for spoiler reasons, I
Yeah.
would say maybe
Not
don't.
everybody
Maybe
has
not.
seen
Okay,
this movie.
Maybe
so I
not
won't
say it.
tell.
Yeah.
So speaking of spoilers,
Yeah.
I'll tell you. So
When they find the big corpses of Big Hero 5, we don't
it.
talk about that.
I know. So I had a kind of bad mom moment. So we're sitting there watching the movie, and we're in, and I'm into it. I really want to watch it. It's a movie about a bond that develops between a little boy and an inflatable robot named Baymax. Rob mentioned it on his top 5 robot movies, if you missed that episode. And it's the relationship that comes from that and how they go out to fight crime with he and his robot. Super cute movie. But anywho, bad mom moment. So we're sitting on the couch, super into it. I've got my food. I've got everything I need. And Abby, our 5-year-old, looks over to Rob and she spoils the movie. 5 minutes in, she's like,
She talks about the twist.
The twist.
I think what we can say, because every damn Disney movie in the last 10 years has done this, villain reveal, very surprising villain reveal, and apparently you got ruined.
Well,
real
here's
early
the
on.
thing. I mean, she's 5 years old. I snap. I'm like, Abby, you do not tell the plot of the movie. I did not know. I have not seen this movie. Now you've ruined it for me. You ruined it all. And I was like, whoa, calm down. Like 5 minutes later, I was like, maybe that was a bit of an overreaction.
Was this before or after your child ran screaming to her bedroom where she cried herself to sleep?
It was slightly before.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
It's an important thing to learn, though, at
I
age 5,
know.
to not reveal
I
spoilers.
think it's an important thing to learn at like age 9.
9, maybe not 5.
You
too
don't
young.
reveal spoilers.
And I do like the reverse of the usual parent-child dynamic where your child has pre-screened the children's movie for you.
Yes, she was like, yeah, it definitely was that person. Blah blah blah.
After seeing Baymax, does it crack your top 5
No,
robots?
I don't
Still
think
no?
so. It's
Interesting.
like 7.
Okay.
7th robot, maybe. He was cute. Baymax was cute. If you've missed this one and it's one to watch with your kids, a couple scary parts. Our littlest was fine. Our oldest was a little bit scared with a couple parts.
The villain, the mask thing going on is pretty creepy.
It's pretty creepy, I would say. But if your kid has a high tolerance, she's also afraid of the bear and Brave. I mean, she's kind of a fraidy cat.
But
so
the bear and Brave is a loving mother. Oh, that's right. They don't have one of those.
they wouldn't know. That's why they're so comfortable with it.
No frame
They're
of
like,
reference.
you people are the worst. It was just a low moment for me, okay? We all have them. So anyway,
Tim, how about you, buddy?
So I saw quite a few movies, most of which I reviewed this past week. But one that I did review that I just want to pull out is the Netflix original Okja. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce
okra.
it. It's Okra. Okra the movie.
Yes,
Excellent
about
documentary.
a very
about
disgusting
America's
vegetable.
favorite
Underrated
food
vegetable,
product.
yes.
No, Okja, the Bong Joon-ho movie, premiered at Cannes this year, caused quite the stir at Cannes because it was this streaming movie, and all the distributors in France were like, no, we will not allow a streaming movie to win a prize at Cannes, and indeed it walked away empty-handed. But it's a delightful film. It is getting a really teeny tiny theatrical release, I think just in New York and LA. If you are in one of those cities, see it. It's great. And it really should be seen on the big screen because it's colorful. It's got, I think, some pretty solid CGI. It is the story of a multinational big agro firm that's created a type of super pig, like a genetically modified pig creature, and has sent them all around the world as part of a PR stunt. Then 10 years later, the time comes that they're going to harvest their pigs and, of course, butcher them horribly and turn them into food. And the young Korean girl who has raised one of these super pigs revolts. And it's this action-adventure movie / kids movie about like a girl and her giant super pig. It's not actually a kids movie. Do not let your children see it. It's violent and there's a lot of F-bombs. So it's a satire, it's an action film, it's this really charming kids movie, it's a really good, like, just effects-driven popcorn movie. I thought it was charming and I loved it, and it's free on Netflix, so most of you should be able to just watch it, just like right there in your skivvies at home, so totally do it.
Tilda Swinton.
Tilda Swinton.
Ooh, I
That's
do
all I
like
need to
her.
say.
Yeah.
Tilda Swinton twice.
Do you
And
guys-
also Jake Gyllenhaal in a really awful performance. For what it's
Do you
worth. Like,
guys
really
remember the website we were going to create about animaldeath.com?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Would this pass animaldeath.com?
bad? That would
Is that a
qualify
spoiler?
as a spoiler.
Okay. Well, not the main animal death, but like, is there other
is
animal death?
Animal death.
Okay. Never watching it.
Okay.
You
I
watch
have it on
Okra?
our I have it
Yeah.
on our watch list, so that's too bad. I'll be watching alone.
Watch it alone.
But
Let
yeah,
me
no,
know.
it's I think a really delightful like adventure / satire of the way we like have multinational corporations running the world. It's not like smart or clever. It goes totally over the top with its satire, but I think it works. And Swinton's fantastic. I love her in it.
I
Obviously.
think I've seen Jake in a lot of terrible, like where he's just awful. Like I haven't seen Jake awful.
He is very clearly going for it. Like the tone of the thing is, I don't know if either of you have seen Snowpiercer, but the tone is similar to that. Like it's really over the top, really cartoon levels of just wackiness and this sort of satiric mode. And he's going for it. And God bless him. Like he's not holding anything back. He's in a situation where he can go for it, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah. I didn't care for him in I Heart Huckabees. I did not care. Silence.
I have forgotten that he was in High Heart Huggins.
There you go.
That is a movie that I remember liking, and I remember virtually none of the details about. Except, is it Isabelle Huppert? Is she the?
Oh, now you're
There is one
out
of
of
the
my league.
great grand dames of the French cinema. I think it's Isabelle Huppert.
Wouldn't surprise me. There are French people in it, I believe. But no, I have it on our must-watch list, so I think I'll probably
must watch.
Watch it when I'm
I'll
gone.
check it out. One summer movie that I have seen, and that surprisingly didn't make Tim or I's top 5 summer anticipated movies.
Transformers 5.
Transformers.
You saw that?
Transformers 5. I did see Transformers 5 as
When?
well.
Where
I actually
were you?
saw 10 movies this past week.
What?
Yeah, it's been a productive week. But I'm not talking about Transformers 5. I'm talking about a movie that I kind of want everybody to just calm down
All right.
a little bit about, because right now it's got an 8.5 on IMDb. I know
Oh,
it's
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Pirates of the Caribbean. No. Rotten Tomatoes 97%.
Oh, no, I know what it is.
And people need to calm down. You have no idea what it is.
Baby Driver.
Yeah, it is Baby Driver. How'd you know it's Baby Driver?
Boom. Because I know these things.
People do need to consider calming down a little bit about Baby Driver.
It's a little over. I mean, again, directed by Edgar Wright, and I know the love affair people have with Edgar Wright. If you're an Edgar Wright fan, movies like Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, Scott Pilgrim, The World's End, I get it. I understand the love affair. This movie is stylistically gorgeous. Like, I really like what he tried to do. It's basically a 1 hour, 53-minute music video. But that's about it. Like, there's some nice character performances and things like that too. But for the most part, he's just showing off. Is kind
Just
of
his
what I
driving
got.
skills?
I would be-
no, not the. I mean, there are some nice car chase
Yeah.
scenes. Absolutely.
The thing is, I wish it was more of a 2-hour music video. I don't feel he showed off enough. That was like my
Interesting.
big problem with it.
I guess
feel.
commit either way.
Like there's too many scenes of people talking without music playing.
So the story, if you're not familiar with this movie, and I'm apparently
I
gonna
watched
run
the
out of,
trailer, but that's all I've
batteries.
seen.
Oh, you saw the trailer?
Yeah.
So yeah, this
That's the story. It's
That's it.
he's a driver for gangsters, and
He's a young
he
guy,
wants to quit,
right?
and they don't want him to quit.
Yeah.
And he falls in love.
Who does he fall in love with?
Who's the actress? Is it Lily James? Yeah, it's Lily James.
What else is she in?
Stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I saw that one.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
definitely.
really good.
Man,
Stuff.
she's one of those
Stuff
actresses
too.
that I know I've seen.
Yeah.
I can't
and
place
I can't
her.
think of why.
I can't
Sure.
place her either right now. But
Okay.
it's a great cast. You have Kevin Spacey, John Berthal, John Hamm, Jamie Foxx,
John Hamm, who runs away with the movie.
Yes, there are a lot of. I mean, I liked all the individual performances. It's just
So was it a writing fail?
it is. It's like
It's
maybe
not
it
really a
was.
failure because it's not trying to do more than it does. I don't think. But
Right.
It should try to do more than it
Right.
does.
It could have been better if it had tried a little more.
Well, the thing, like, I don't know where you feel, because it sounds like you maybe don't like Edgar Wright as a whole, Rob.
No, I like the.
Because
I like all the. I
think
like his
what
other stuff.
I think what he does really well is he makes these like really elaborate genre pastiches that are excellent character stories. Like Shaun of the Dead is a romantic comedy with zombies, but it's also this great story about a fuck up who needs to learn that being a fuck up isn't
it
charming,
together, right.
and stuff like that. And that's what's missing. Like Baby Driver doesn't have character arcs. Like John Hamm's character has an arc, and Kevin Spacey's has the end point of an arc, but not really the rest of an arc. And Baby Driver himself, like, doesn't have any arc at all. It's just like he's in love now. The end.
I think maybe it's just an issue I have with. I don't know if it's Ansel or Ansel or
Ansel Elgort is a charisma vacuum.
Yeah. Maybe
really,
that's what it was.
He really is. And I liked him while I was watching it, and the further I get from the movie, the more I'm like, fuck him. He's a bad actor.
Yeah, everybody else was doing well. I didn't buy Kevin Spacey's arc at all. Like,
because it makes no sense. It comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's strange. Yeah, and it just felt like so it's set to a lot of music because he has an eardrum issue from an accident.
Tinnitus.
Obviously, yeah.
And so when you're listening to from his ear vantage point, I guess, or ear point, I don't know what that would be.
Another thing that I don't think they did enough of.
Yeah.
Well, if you're going to do it, then do it when there's no music, we hear tinnitus, and it's like, oh yeah, that worked. And then like other scenes, there's no music and we don't, and it's a lot of scenes shot and timed to musical elements. So as things are happening, the characters either opening doors, closing doors, like with the beat of the music.
Yeah,
and it's really neat, like when it's happening. But yeah, I guess it's just not. It's either I want more character development, or go for the music video kind of.
Yeah.
There is a review that I think you will find very much in line with your opinions of this movie. And it is on your website.
I knew that was coming.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll have
you gave it 3.5 stars, though.
I mean, I liked it.
Yeah.
Like, when it works like gangbusters.
And that's the thing. I don't want to say I didn't like it. It's probably like a 3-star movie for me. It's just, come on, 97%, 8.5. It's
so
a
what
little,
about where do people see it? Do they see it in theaters? Do they wait for it to come out?
It is currently brand spanking new in theaters.
No, but I mean, like, where should people wait to see it? Should they see it in theaters?
I'd say if you're going to see it, you should see it on a big screen.
There are some nice cards. I mean, it is meant to be seen on the big screen. It pays nice homage to it, not homage, but just it does nice things for Atlanta for a lot of driving.
That was actually one of the comments that showed up on the review on our site was someone talking about how great it like evoked a sense of Atlanta-ness, which I don't know the city, but I love when movies can do that. So kudos for that.
Yeah, I'd like to see more Edgar Wright movies. I don't know what needs to happen.
I'd like to see more Edgar Wright movies set in Britain.
In Britain. I think that's maybe
by Simon Pegg.
There you go.
Oh, Simon Pegg is one of my favorites.
The 3 really good Edgar Wright films were co-written by and starring Simon Pegg.
Does he do, I'm just going to throw it out there, does he do that movie
where she leaves the book behind?
Yes. He does that one?
I'm not sure.
What on earth are you talking about?
I don't know if Tim's with us there.
So that romantic, cute comedy with Simon Pegg and the girl, and they leave the book. He's supposed to be meeting somebody else.
That is not an Edgar Wright.
Oh.
No, it's not Edgar Wright, but it is Simon Pegg.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I knew that.
Edgar Wright does the one where Simon Pegg wants to get the girl, but in order to get her, he has to beat zombies to death with pool cues.
I saw that one.
All right.
Yeah. That's the Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Man, I'm feeling on tonight. This is really good.
I want to say Benjamin, listener, friend of the show, wrote in on your review, actually, Tim, and summarized my feelings pretty well. I enjoyed the movie immensely, but immediately after it was over, I was fairly certain this was my least favorite Edgar Wright film.
Oh, totally my least favorite.
Yeah.
Not even a question.
It's fun and all, and the style is unimpeachable, but there's nothing to grab onto on a human level. That's, just really well stated. It is exactly how I felt about it. So nice job, Benjamin, for articulating everything I felt about it.
And apologies to the rest of you readers who've commented saying that you loved it. And I'm glad you love it. I wish I loved it as much as you do, because I don't.
Well, remember, you can find more details about all the movies we've watched at our website, alternating.com. That's alternating.com. Before we head to our break, you might be wondering about ways to support the show. Direct from our website, you can head to our Patreon page, which provides you with access to a ton of perks. You may want to make us watch a movie, have Tim write a review, pick your own episode topic. You can do it all from our Patreon page, just like Anne Urell and Julian DeBerry, who picked up our Critics' Choice perks, entitling them to movies for Carrie and I to watch, Carrie. So we have our docket filled now, Carrie.
What
Pick
are the
obscure violent anime
with lots of animal death?
I have heard back from Anne. She selected 2009's, and this is a movie I have not heard of. It's Feed the Fish. I understand it's with Tony Shalhoub.
I have never heard of this.
This is going to be fun. Yeah, I'm excited.
This is exciting. I haven't even. Wow.
And I've been keeping up with Julian a little bit. He's been wanting us to see Spirited Away, so he hasn't written back yet. But I'm assuming, Carrie, we're going to have some Spirit.
Tell them they should see Ninja Scroll.
No idea what that means, but ninjas, I'm in.
Whatever.
Also, I want to thank all our listeners who support the show and make their Amazon purchases through our site. Doing is easy. Just go to our website, alternatending.com, click on our Amazon banner, and seamlessly go about your purchases. All proceeds go to making our show better. Since our last episode, just a couple of Kindle ebooks purchased. So, are you still using your Kindle ebook, Care?
I now do it for my phone because remember I got the 6S from work, so now I'm on that like tablet-sized phone. So I read most of them from my phone because I know
still
I always
like
have it
it's
with
an
me.
app that you do,
Yeah,
or you?
it's a Kindle app.
Interesting. So you may want to pick up these ebooks here. Long Day's Journey into Night.
Oh, the play?
Don't know.
Well, it
Perhaps.
is a play.
It is a play. Well,
It
there
is
you
a
go.
play?
It's a good
Okay.
play. Your eyes lit up. So
It's a good play.
And we also
I
have.
just get excited when people read like legit classic literature.
Yeah.
This is another one called The Second Girl by Frank Marr. Nothing.
No.
No, I've
Oh,
never heard of
Frank,
that.
I know the author.
Okay.
But I wonder if I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, thanks everyone.
Big value add there.
for all your purchases. When we get back, we'll be spoiling the Trainspotting series. Catch you then.
Welcome back to Alternate Ending. We are going to be talking today about Trainspotting from 1996 and its 21 years later sequel, T2 Trainspotting. Both of them directed by Danny Boyle, from novels by Irv Welsh. The first one is a story of a bunch of mid-20-something heroin users in Scotland, just sort of blindly stumbling their way through life until they eventually sort of fall backwards into a life of crime that doesn't really pay out. And then 20 years later, they've all grown up a bit, some more than others, and for the first time since those heady days in the 1990s, they reunite and discover what sort of people they've become. The first one, of course, is the film that basically turned Danny Boyle and Ewan McGregor into international, like, art house cinema beloved names. And if you're my age and Rob's age, you probably first encountered it when you were a college student and everybody in the whole world thought it was the best movie. That's certainly how I first encountered it. I don't know if it is.
No, same for me
how
too.
you stumbled into it, Rob.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we both have seen this. We have, however, among us someone who has never seen Trainspotting before.
Oh, I've seen it.
You had?
Yeah, I stumbled upon it 2 days ago.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
But no, so I know what I think about it because I've been thinking it for like 15 years at this point.
Yeah.
But what was your takeaway? Like, let's start with that.
So this one was a tough one for me. Tough one for me to get through.
I forgot about the baby scene.
There's some stuff in
There's
there
some
that's
stuff
hard.
in there.
There's some stuff that's difficult to get through, and for me, there were two things that were really redeeming about the movie. One was the important message that it sends about the destruction of drugs, like destructive
the
nature
message,
of drugs.
The message that heroin is a lot of damn fun.
That's
and that's why
really
people get
bad.
addicted to it.
Right. I'm making my kids watch this movie, and
Well, that's
particularly the bag over the face scene. I'm going to make them watch that on loop if they ever consider
Excellent.
drugs. And then that's in the T2.
That is T2.
Right. I jumped around a little bit there. And then the second part is Spud. That's the only redeeming thing for me is I really like Spud.
Well, you said that. So, do you guys feel like this movie glorifies drug use, or I didn't like Trainspotting? I'm talking about just Trainspotting.
I don't think it glorifies it. I
because
think
it got a lot of crap and flack for it.
I think it's honest about it. I think there's actually a line right in the opening monologue where like heroin is pleasurable. Otherwise, why would anybody use heroin? And then the movie is about the push-pull between it's a lot of fun. It gives these people like a huge blast of like inspiration and energy, and it also destroys them. Like it makes them complete husks. human beings.
Destroys all of them. Like
Yeah.
all of them are terrible people.
Yeah. So I think that's the tension of the movie is like between drugs are fun and drugs will kill the fuck out of you. And I think that it balances that tension really well, I think.
It also has a lot of graphic scenes in it.
It does.
I'm trying to think about the first one where I learned a little bit about heroin as well too. Is that it
Is this
causes
before you watched the movie?
before I watched the movie?
When you learned a little bit about heroin?
No, I did not. And yeah, I am not a fan of drug movies in general.
You don't really like anything with needles either.
like
Yeah.
needles. So things like Requiem for a Dream. Like
Never watched
these
it.
things are
Yeah.
hard to stomach. Like actually watching the drug taking process with needles, snorting some
I
stuff.
think it's the same
doesn't
one. I'm like
bother
a
me.
little bit of a germ person. They share these things. I'm like,
Right.
"Ah."
And that's part of what's like fucked up about it because
I
they should know
know.
better because that's how you get AIDS.
Although, here's a question. Did you know that in 96 that was bad to be sharing needles? When was like the
well, the AIDS
80s.
crisis broke big in like 83.
83?
80s,
Okay. Yeah.
So the Trainspotting stars Ewan McGregor, Ewan Bremer, John Lee Miller.
How's that wine treating you
it's,
there?
the Chianti
Peppery.
is hitting me. It's
It's the pepper.
pepper's getting me. Robert Carlyle, and then a young Kelly MacDonald as well too. It opens
They're
up.
all young.
They're all
such
young.
children. Looking at Ewan McGregor, 96 era Ewan McGregor now is like, why are you a baby?
So that's what I was going to ask. So Carrie and I watched these back to back. Did you rewatch Trainspotting for this?
I didn't rewatch it. I've seen it so many times.
Okay.
So
honestly.
many. How did
So
you
many.
watch this so
Why?
many times?
Why would you? Why
This
so many
Because I
tells-
love it.
This tells me something about you, Tim. You're
I
like,
think
let
it's
me
a great
just,
movie. I love it a lot.
Well,
let
and
me
then-
subject
so let's start
myself
there.
to this
Carrie,
over
did
and
you-
over. I
Kim
will
loves
never
it.
watch this
But
movie
did you
ever again.
Did you like it? Love it? Hate it?
She said there were two things that redeemed it, and one of them was from the sequel.
And one of them is Spud. Yeah, one of
Okay.
them is like just because he's funny looking. Like he made me laugh a little bit. I got the comedy of it a little bit. This isn't a movie for me by any stretch, just for a lot of reasons. I think I struggled a lot with the content for obvious reasons that we can get into a little bit more later too. But yeah, the bathroom scene maybe was a little bit redeeming.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to.
That was-
The thing I learned about heroin was it causes constipation, and as
Right.
soon as you're off of it, because Renton at that point, Ewan McGregor's character says, "Hey, that was it." It kind of opens up with like, "Just doing it one more time," and I'm sure he said that 1,000 times.
Sure.
And I'm off, and he tries to get off of it. In order to get off of it, you need to kind of have some other things. He locks himself in his room, boards up the room, and then
Rips the boards
rips
off.
the boards
Yeah.
off almost immediately afterwards when he gets like the inkling of
Yeah.
an urge or whatever justification he needs to get his next fix, and then discusses the fact that heroin makes you constipated, so he needs to go get his next hit, and he buys opium suppositories or some
Sure.
sort of opioid.
So opium is
suppositories.
less bad for you than heroin?
Opium and heroin are both chemically similar.
Same family, heroin probably
Different
a little
entry
stronger. Like, a little get you there, but in suppository, a little bit of a slower thing. So,
Sure.
no problem sticking 2 pills up his rear end. But
Sure.
then, all of a sudden, the fact that he's off of heroin,
Sure.
the buildup of
There's an
constipation
evacuation.
needs to happen, and he's off dashing to the nearest restroom. And then,
He poops it out.
it doesn't
worst
just poop
men's
it
room
out.
in Scotland.
The worst men's room in Scotland is
Yeah.
where he finds himself. Would any of you do you have any problems like going in outhouses or?
I know you do.
Yes.
Rob's like that person
Me?
that literally lines the he'll be in.
Well, that's in our own home.
He'll be in like
I'll
a
line-
sterile
I'll line
doctor's
her-
bathroom, and he'll coat the entire room with toilet paper before actually sitting down. And then even after he coats it with toilet paper, he still hovers.
That's impressive.
This is true.
Yeah.
So a little background too. Carrie and I were like mid dinner. Carrie had made noodles or
This is
salad.
a story that's not going to end even slightly well, is it?
We're approaching the scene, so
Right.
I'm like, oh, I remember. Like, it's been a while. I have not seen this multiple times. I saw this one time. I felt like one time was enough
Was
for
enough
me.
for you.
So pause it, and then it's on the screen it says worst bathroom in Scotland.
I ate quickly.
You ate quickly.
Yeah.
But did you anticipate seeing the thing that you saw
A
as
fantasy scene of Ewan
Yeah.
McGregor
It
jumping
did-
into a toilet.
It didn't bother me at all, mostly because it was so over the top that you're like, that wasn't even good poop. Like, this is clearly,
What
Chocolate
do you
syrup
know
poop.
what post-heroin constipation poop even looks like?
yeah.
All right, well,
And
then I take it back.
wasn't that actually, you know what? The only part of that entire scene that got me was when he popped back out of the toilet and there was like a little bit of like a poop chunk like on his lip, and it looked like maybe like a tomato or something. And I was like, oh. Like a little bit of a gag reflex. But other than that, I was solid through the poop scene. I don't know.
Tim, any poop thoughts?
That is honestly one of my least favorite scenes.
Really,
from that movie.
it's
Sorry.
one of the memorable ones.
It's very memorable.
Yeah.
I get what it's doing from a plot standpoint. I think it's the one point where it maybe gets a little bit too excited to be naughty for the sake of being naughty. I think obviously the point that like, look how degraded and degrading this man's life is an important point.
Yeah.
And the movie needs to make it. And that's a really visceral way of making it. Like, no two ways about it. I don't know. That scene just never... I don't love it.
Didn't sit well with you there?
Doesn't sit well with me.
No.
It's just a little bit too garish.
Too real?
I think there's a level of like stylistic whirlwind craziness that the movie's good at, and I think it goes a little too far in that scene.
The other thing I learned about heroin
Please tell us, Rob.
messes with your sex drive a little bit. A lot.
Oh, you're talking about Bagby. Or no, what's his name?
No, you're going to T2
Sorry,
again.
T2. Watching these together. Pre-T2.
No, they go clubbing, and this, so the movie itself, story of, I guess, friendship a little bit too, and like I don't know, maybe friendship's too strong.
The exact opposite of that. Yeah.
Maybe friendship's too strong.
I'd say it's a story
your
about
mates.
it's about how the people that you are around because of your behavior become the like thing that resembles friends, even though they aren't. Is to me kind of.
I don't even know what you guys are talking about right now.
I'd say that the four guys are not friends.
Yeah, are they friends or are they?
They shoot up together, and so that's their social circle. But I think that they don't have any reason to be each other's friends.
And it's funny you say that too, because like what friendship thing have they done for each other? Like you think about what you've done for your friends, or you go out of your way help them move or whatever. Like I don't know, you do things for your friends that are selfless in a lot of ways. There's nothing selfless.
Well, I think drugs
about...
make you selfish. Anyway, so would they be friends outside of this? Maybe, but they're all just worried about themselves.
I mean, that's the thing. Like they have no personalities. Their personality has become heroin user.
Right. Yeah.
So one of the things is losing your sex drive. So they go clubbing.
Sure.
And
Remind me of this.
again, he's Renton now, and Ewan McGregor. He's really the point of view character for the movie for the most part. Goes to the club and has his sex drive back and sees everybody else in the club hooking up. And I've been in this situation. I had my clubbing days. And
I remember the straight iron hair, the eyeliner.
Yes, exactly. No, I did do some eyeliner, by the way.
Oh my
flat
gosh.
iron, flat iron.
This was the
hair.
kind of thing that you were supposed to decline, that never happened, and we were all supposed to laugh.
But everybody knows who's been to a club. There is a point in time when the hour of the club is starting to wane, and it's about to start wrapping up. They're going to turn on the lights soon, and you have you have limited time to find someone to
before you see what they actually look like.
See who you're, but you see other people connecting or hooking up or whatever. It's like I'm running out of time. Like everybody else is paired off. Like I got to pair off.
I'm so uncomfortable with this right now.
I'm baffled.
Equally uncomfortable?
Uncomfortable is not the right word for it. I feel like we've entered some sort of terrible, true stories confessional.
I'm just saying I identify.
This is a movie review podcast.
I'm saying I identify with you and McGregor.
So tell us about all the anonymous sex you've had, Rob.
Yeah, Rob, please tell us more.
I'll talk about the soundtrack.
I'm saying that I ended up alone in these scenarios and had to take the cab home.
Always. This eyeliner dripping down.
But Renton finally finds someone, a young... we don't know how young, but a young Diane, Kelly MacDonald, and he chases her out, and they have a fun little kind of back and forth. Gets in the cab, and she takes him home, only to find out in the morning that she in fact is 14 years old, 15 years old.
That's unfortunate. I don't even blame Ewan.
How many times did that happen to you, Rob?
Yeah,
that has not. Well. No, it has not happened.
Oh, I remember. There was that one time.
That was not my fault.
We'll tell you about it later.
No, you will tell me about that now.
I forgot about that. That was almost a deal breaker. I was like, Rob's a little weird, but he was like, I didn't know. Let's move along.
Moving along.
Just so you know, I'm going to be suggesting spoiler alerts for all kind of movies.
The AOL name should have given it away. But it did not. It did not.
Whatever 93
yes,
or whatever.
whatever it was. I didn't do the math well.
That's right. Quick side note too, though. So she was. How old? So Kelly MacDonald was 14 that they portray her. She's 41 now. She was born in 76. So that means she was 20 during the actual movie. 19 or 20. Okay.
Still a bit edgy, I would say, for the time.
Because there's some nudity in this,
a lot of nudity. Yeah. You see Ewan McGregor, not the last time.
I was going to say, seeing Ewan McGregor's penis is like a Tuesday.
So let's talk about Ewan's parts. So... Okay.
He enjoys showing them off.
But here's the thing.
Frequently.
I thought there were rules. I thought that the part showage for dudes in movies started more recently that was allowed. Like, I thought there was no part showage for men pre a year or like a certain time.
Well, technically, it's been legal in United States movies, American movies. What a weird way of putting that. It's been legal in the American film industry since '68. I think the first time it happened might have been '71. In European film, it was a lot more common than that. It's very no big deal-ish in European art cinema.
Right.
And I mean, ultimately, we have to remember Trainspotting is a British film. It's part of this European art cinema tradition. And yeah, like Ewan McGregor just is naked a lot in a lot of movies. So it's just not a thing for the Brits the way it is for us.
So why is it like, but it isn't common here nearly as much. So at that time, was it something that was like, whoa? I mean, was that shocking, do you think, when you guys saw it early on?
For the U.S., for me.
McGregor certainly picked up the stereotype fairly early on of, you want to see peen in a movie? Go see the new Ewan McGregor picture. And then everyone was very disappointed after Moulin Rouge.
Yeah. I haven't seen that either.
Oh, not the only.
There is no peen. It's
I see.
PG-13.
Not the only peen we see in Trainspotting.
No, there's lots of
I believe
peens,
we see Spud as well too, and he has also taken someone home, or his girlfriend. I can't recall exactly, but he also is feeling some bowel issues as well too, and has to take his linens away, and then another poop reference as well there too, as he wants to do the laundry himself to not expose what incident has happened.
About that. So he poops the sheets. And then he comes downstairs. I don't know why her parents aren't more upset that he's coming downstairs. And when the mom is very politely asking for the sheets, there's poop spatter.
There's a struggle. There's a struggle for the sheets.
And then she pulls the sheets and poop spatter lands on everybody. That I forgot about that.
It is the poopingest movie.
Yeah, it's really poopy. But I liked that scene too with Spud.
So the two scenes you liked were the poop scenes.
Yeah, I guess so.
All right.
As much as it would veer.
Way too much about my co-host this evening.
Yeah, it was. That was another highlight for me. Another side note too. Did Ewan McGregor? Do you think he looked like that for the role, or did he look like that because he was 20?
No.
I think he looked like that because he was 20.
Okay.
Well, he was.
No, he lost weight for the role. I mean, I don't know how accurate it is, the research I did, but he lost 2 stones for the role.
So 2 stones is 80 pounds.
Yeah, I saw that from the full frontal nudity.
You're saying his penis was lacking some weight?
Thanks, Rob, for clarifying the joke.
I also did like a cupping motion with my hands.
You did. You are currently thinking about cradling Ewan McGregor's balls. And who among us isn't? The man has good reason to want to be naked in movies a lot.
Yeah,
I think we can.
I disagree on that. In the '96 movie, I could agree with it more. In the 2017, I think he's aged perfection, like aged perfectly. Like he's much better in 2017 than he is in '96.
Well, he doesn't look like a
emaciated
heroin.
Yeah.
He really committed himself to the role from what I read. I mean, he read a lot of books about heroin. I don't know if he actually took the stuff. He's not quite the method actor there, but he did lose a lot of weight for the role and was cast. Actually, Ewan Bremer was doing the stage play. My understanding, Spud's character, or the person who plays Spud, was actually doing the Renton role in the stage adaptation before the movie took shape, and then ended up playing the Spud role afterwards.
Not aware there was a stage version of Trainspotting. It would have been a very different experience.
Yes, and the rest of the movie, I mean, there's certainly some high points, some low points, but really it's just about continuing to get their fix.
Exactly. It's very episodic. It is. And I think that's kind of the point. Is like these people live life like in 10-minute increments. So there's no reason for them to have like a plot that they fit into, because that's not how they function as human beings.
We haven't talked about too much of the characters. I thought we could talk a little bit about Spud. You feel bad for Spud?
Yeah.
Spud's the guy that I want to win, like that I want to get out of it, that I think doesn't deserve to be trapped in this drug
I think
pattern.
He's the one who seems the least aware of what's going on.
Agreed.
Like he seems least in control of his own decisions.
Yeah, and that he seems that he really does want to be better and want to do better. Right. And maybe I'm pulling that from the second one more too, and I feel like he's just he's weak. I feel like he's a weak person.
He's a weak. Yeah, exactly.
Out of all of them, he's the only one who I actually have some sort of sympathy for. None of the other characters I care about as far as being redeemable.
Not
nice,
Sick Boy.
Sick Boy to me, he's just like him and Renton are just in this competitiveness. Like they're just super competitive with one another, and I don't care for either one of them. There is the baby scene That's
is
another
the baby
very
scene.
memorable, other than the poo ones.
I don't want to talk about it, Rob.
Why don't you want to talk about it?
I don't want to talk about it because I think when we started this podcast, I said there were rules. I said no human trafficking, no pedophilia, and no baby gore. And you...
I would contend that is not gory.
Oh, it was gory. There was
baby
gore.
gore is like throwing a baby into
I
a
said
wood
no
chipper.
baby emaciation, and there was baby emaciation in this. So
I bet you did not say baby emaciation. I bet those specific words
No,
did
I
not
did.
come out of your mouth.
That's exactly what I said.
All right.
Whatever the
And
case, it was a tough...
I was so mad at you after this. So
Yeah.
it's funny.
It's not my fault.
I wish you were in the room when we were watching this because the scene begins. I'll set this up. The scene begins. The panic scene where the scene about where they are about to find the baby is starting to happen. Obviously, I've never seen it. Rob has, and so the tone of the movie starts to become more panicked, and all the people in the room. The girl comes out, the mom comes out, and she starts screaming, and I'm starting to say, "What's happening, Rob? What's happening, Rob?" I was already upset with the setup of the movie, even having a baby in it at all. Like that was already disturbing to me. And so Rob's all of a sudden, Rob just really slowly is like, or really quietly is like, "I'm sorry, Carrie. I'm sorry." Like really quietly until it starts getting louder, and then the reveal that the baby has died due to the neglect of these jerkhole people in this movie, and. Rob's like, "I'm so sorry." I'm like, "You lied. You lied."
I will
like,
endeavor to make sure that we do not have any movies where babies die of starvation in the future.
ever again.
What about movies where babies die of horrible diseases?
No, you can't do that either.
What about movies where babies are shot?
No, not into that. I will also never ever watch a Serbian film. That
Well, I
She
don't
has some
think that
standards.
was going to show up on the long list of possibilities for spoiler
yeah.
alert, but okay.
Rob said he would never do that to me, and you did, and so I was mad about this.
I don't know.
At first.
I did not do anything. One character we haven't talked about, and not really much of a heroin user, but has his own demons, and that's Begbie, Francis Franco.
Yes.
What do you guys think about Mr. Begbie?
I think Robert Carlyle is a very good actor.
Yes.
And he makes a very good psychopath.
He is an extremely great psychopath.
Agreed.
And the scenes where the scene in particular where he just flings his beer glass over the side of
cuts
the
the lady's
rail.
face off. Yeah.
And they have a term for it. Apparently, she got glassed. Like I don't know if that was like that's a common thing where
I feel like
it
in
could be-
Scotland
it's
there
a
needs to
verb.
be a term for that.
And
Yeah.
that's the other thing. You mentioned Scotland. Like, I guess I have this vision of what Europe and Scotland and Edinburgh in particular are. Like, I didn't realize, like, it was like Edinburgh?
Not Berg.
Oh, thank you. Edinburgh. Burrow?
Burrow.
I wanted to visit there at one point, and then is there this drug culture? This kind of
drug culture everywhere. There's a fucking drug culture in Madison, kiddo.
Yeah, I know. It's just very dark.
Closed
very
off,
dark,
Rob. You just
dark
don't see the world
I don't
around
see
you.
it. Yeah, I go see the castles and all the tourist traps, but
There are not castles. that
No
I'm aware-
castles
There might
there.
be. I don't know.
There's
There's
castles.
There's probably castles.
There's definitely
castles on the
castles.
outskirts. On the outskirts.
Fort something in Edinburgh.
No, Begbie's character. And then
He was awful.
yes.
He is evil.
Do you think that the worst kind of evil, like that just inherent anger and whatever that's within him? And so do you guys get a sense that he actually thinks that he's better than them because they're all druggies,
Yes.
and that he doesn't acknowledge the fact that he's downing a bottle of whatever he's doing?
I would say that is very much something we're supposed to take away.
Yeah. And yet he's the one that's like violent and awful and terrible and a horrible human being, and gets his kicks off of stirring up violence around him. Oh, he was my least favorite character.
Yeah, for no
I
reason.
think he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Is he? Okay, good.
He's a shithole.
Yeah.
Well, Renton finds himself away. He gets out, and then I guess Begbie and Sick Boy move back into his apartment at some point too. So he tries to get away, maybe get clean, gets sucked back into it, and then it becomes somewhat of a heist movie, or somewhat of like, again, trying to pull off a job.
Right.
So they've now reconvened, and they need some money to buy heroin off this guy who stumbled upon a big supply, and they want to buy it off of him to sell it back in London for a substantial profit. And this is where the movie kind of comes to a close, where they succeed and they come out, again, not worth it for me. Like, I don't know if the risk reward, what was it? So I think Renton they all put in $4,000 to buy this bag of heroin, and they get 16 grand out of it. boy, not worth the risk reward.
16 euros, right?
Pounds.
Pounds, sorry.
Yeah, 16,000 pounds. Not quite the risk.
So I wonder
reward
what the actual exchange rate on that is.
But Renton decides
in the 90s, I think it was very.
It was a lot.
It was good.
Okay.
It was a good amount of money. And
You
also,
know-
they're like, junkies.
They have like
so any amount of money
$7.
sounds like a
Yeah.
lot, yeah.
some success for the foursome there too, and we Renton decides to sneak off. They're actually all joking about sneaking off with it, and each of them kind of saying that they might, and everybody's going to the
Begbie's
restroom.
like sleeping with the money though.
Yeah, in
the
his
violent
grasp.
guy.
Yeah, and then Renton slips away, but not before Spud wakes up and sees
Oh, I
Renton
know.
Renton
Spud.
leaving and disappointed.
He's sad. Why is Spud bleeding again there? I forget.
I don't know if you guys remember. Yeah, so that's another Begbie situation.
that was a Begbie
stirring
thing.
the pot.
Damn Begbie.
He's walking with the 3 beers and bumps into someone, and someone starts
Oh,
calling
right.
some
Of
names, and he pulls out a knife, and Spud tries to grab his hand to
Oh,
stop
that's
it,
right, and he
gets
cuts
his
his
hand
hand.
sliced open. So
Begbie.
another Begbie being Begbie.
Yep.
But Renton shows his true colors, and back to Tim's point, I guess, about, are any of these people really friends, or are they just in it for themselves?
And I think I think it's a question that's dealt with more interestingly in the sequel. I don't think it's really what the original is trying to do, but I think it's there. It's like, these are not nice people. They are not nice to each other. They're not nice to themselves. So if I can grab the conversation and shift it a little bit, one thing we haven't talked about, for me, what I love about this movie and what I respond to really is not so much the plot as just the energy with which the story is told, and the style, and especially the use of music, which I think this movie has one of the best soundtracks of the 1990s. So I was curious, were there any moments that seemed to jump out, like stylistically, that you guys thought were worth it? Like, I mean, clearly Carrie was not on board with this movie, but like, did anything sort of at least entertain you in the moment as just an expression of like the movies?
Cinema, the movies. No.
All right.
No, there were a couple, they did a couple things with the Kill Bill style thing, where like they did the slow-mo. There was a couple fight scenes and stuff like that where they were fight. Is that the second one? Gosh, they're blurring together. It's kind of the same movie, actually, but sort of. We'll get there. But yeah, I mean, I acknowledged while I was watching it that I knew exactly the person that would like it and why. Sure. Even though it wasn't for me. Sure. Like, I got why people would like this movie. And another thing that was interesting too, well, I want to go back to what Rob thinks about the stylisticness of this, but there were a lot of people that I had heard that wrote in, as well as the people that talked about this, that said this came at a really crucial point for them. And I think if this hit you somewhere in college, or the timing of this in college, where you're making choices and there's tough choices that you have to go through and whatever, when we're talking about, is this glorifying or making them, something to turn you away from? I think this did turn a lot of people away from this. So I just think, I don't know, I go back to like what I appreciated about the movie.
There's a lot of stuff stylistically that to me still stands out. I can't get over the heroin needle, like the push with the syringe.
Are you supposed to see the dirt? Is that dirt in the syringe afterwards?
I think, maybe. Yeah, I'm sure.
I don't know.
It's just so gritty. Like Danny Boyle's style was very gritty, and I don't know if that was a budget constraint as well too. But
that was part of it for sure.
Yeah, but I think it's meant to look this way, obviously. But there are things like him, just some of the dream sequences, the going into the toilet scene, as grotesque as that is, like really cool stuff. Like, it has a lot of style to this movie. I can't remember, is it this one or the other one where he kind of falls into the carpet and it's kind of his vantage point.
It's the first one.
That's the first one.
Okay, yeah.
You think it's his grave, right?
Yeah. Well, no, it's just like,
it's actually referenced in the second one, but it is the first one.
Okay, so that kind of stuff is just really visually stunning, especially for, it was his second movie,
It was
right?
his second movie. He'd been puttering around a lot. And I love about the way the movie is directed, he was not a young man. Like, it feels like such a young man's movie. It feels like 20-something, fuck the man, listen to my punk rock, and just sort of hate everything and feel like I'm above it all. And Danny Boyle was like deep into his 30s, maybe even 40 when he made the movie. And I think that it has this really good blend of like, it's my second movie, they might not let me make these anymore, so I'm just going to go all out and do everything I can think of stylistically, tempered with a sort of more nuanced idea of like, why is he doing this, and what, and each moment is the style doing. And like I said, I think what the style is doing is just sort of balancing these two things of like, why are these people using heroin? Because it's a thrill. Why is it bad? Because it's this gritty, ugly looking sort of hell. And I think that this style really balances those two things.
Yeah. So overall, Care, any what did you think about it? Like,
yeah, just
star rating wise, you got anything?
4.5.
4.5 probably. Realistically, it's a 1.5 for me.
It's just not your type of movie.
Not my type of movie.
But you can appreciate it for what other people might see in it.
Agreed.
Yeah. Sure. Well, what should we do? Should we jump into Trainspotting too?
And
a little bit.
And I want to say one thing. So you mentioned, Carrie, you thought that they were very much the same movie. I felt they were entirely different movies.
Really?
Like indistinct, like so different. The second one struck me as Danny Boyle wanted to make a movie about being older and used the characters from Trainspotting basically because he could get it made that way. But to me, it feels very different from the first one.
Yeah, I don't know. It felt like I felt like I didn't miss a beat. I mean, literally, I did only watch it several hours in between, but it felt like I picked up, and these are the same people. Nothing's changed for these characters, and even for the characters where you expected change. So in Renton's character, where you've expected that he's evolved, he really hasn't. You know, and I think they tie back to that. Spud's the same guy. Spud's at the exact same place that he was.
That's
Begbie, same guy, just in prison, comes out and he's the same guy.
I think he's angrier.
I think he's angrier and worse. Like the stuff that he does to his wife, I'm just like, hey, dude, and his son. Like, I'm like, you are a worst. You're the worst. So I guess the only distinction that I would say is I liked the second one significantly better, and I'd ask the same to you guys, like way better than the first one. And maybe it's because there was no baby gore or what was the word?
Baby emaciation.
No baby emaciation in the second one. Just a spoiler there. But I enjoyed the second one better because they were old. Maybe I was just like, hey, now it's just a bunch of old people trying to be cool, and I could appreciate that. I don't know.
I'll go. I mean, I wondered if, even before going into it, does the sequel need to happen? Do I care enough about what happened after the money went away? And I found myself, I kind of want to check in with what happened. So I was excited to see it. Did I like it better than the first one, if that's what the question is? No, I don't think so. Like, it's hard, and I'm an origin person, or like the first movie it's tough to topple that for me. Like, sequels are tough to topple the original movies for me. This one is not as good. I mean, it's more polished. Absolutely. Danny Boyle's come a long way as a director and brought in a lot of the
polish
things.
Was better for sure.
He's brought in a lot of the craft that he's built up over the last 20 years and brought it into this movie. But there's just something about the original that's just still authentic.
I would honestly say I think Danny Boyle has become less interesting as a filmmaker. I think his last movie that I was like, yes, do more of that, I love you, was Sunshine, and that was 10 years ago. I think that he has hit a sort of making movies that are maybe a little too polished groove, and it feels like they've lost some of their liveliness. I did like the movie. I did not like it nearly as much as the first one. I did like the sequel a lot. It reminded me, if I can return to our Edgar Wright comparison, it reminded me a lot of The World's End. I don't know if either of you have seen that, but just this story of a bunch of guys who wake up one day and realize that they're middle-aged and are not okay with that. And the terrible, stupid things they try to do to combat that. And I mean, that to me is why it's not really, doesn't feel like the original. The original is very much about being young and not caring what the consequences are. The sequel is about being older and just realizing that you didn't do what you wanted to do and combating that in a way that is unhealthy.
Well, and it's funny because I absolutely think you're right. Is like the first movie is I don't give a shit about the future. I'm going to live in the moment right now and I'm going to do whatever. And then it's funny, fast forward 20 years, it's like, but they're still nostalgic about the past.
Right.
Like they want to get back to that point.
And I think that's the beautiful thing. The first one, they're clearly unhappy people. Like they hate their lives. And in the second one, they're talking about how great things were in the first one. And I think that's brilliant. That's such a beautiful, brilliant, little grace note of screenwriting. Because it is totally about these people who are trying to recapture when they thought that they were going to be awesome and they fail. They fail horribly. But yeah, I thought it was a really smart depiction of being a 45-year-old who has wasted your life.
Yeah. How sad too. And I think it's interesting too that in the way that they're trying to go about doing it. So I'm going to go by their real name, Sick Boy, which, Sick Boy. But anyway, he starts a brothel in the second one. And
The
so
attempt.
it's like
There's an
an attempt to start a brothel. And I think it's interesting that it's just this kind of like, while the goal is different, it's still that they're the same person in having to try and go about success in a really unconventional / terrible way. It's like, I'm going to move away from this, but I'm going to go into this other really terrible and exploitive thing that's going to ruin my life and make my life difficult. Like, there's this perpetual nature, I think, of all these characters that they just can't get out of.
And I think what's kind of neat about the second one is, like, there's a whole lot made about how Renton has cleaned up and he's not using heroin anymore. And I think if you're, like, watching the way the scenes are blocked, especially the way that the scenes are shot compared to the way they are in the first film, running has replaced drugs for him. Like, it's the thing he's going to keep doing because it gives him a high and it's killing him. Like, the first thing we see happen to him basically is he has some sort of not a heart attack, but like a heart attack adjacent thing. And so he's doing this behavior that's terrible for him. Like, he can't run. He's not built for it, but he's chasing that high. And like, he's found a more respectable way to channel this destructive energy. And I think that's...
What do you feel his motivation is for coming back? I mean, so we find out that
Boyle's or Renton's.
No, Renton's coming back. So he has the heart attack. Is that the wake up call? But then, if it is, then what's the urge to want to come back and revisit these people you stole money from? Like, you've burned bridges. What are you coming back for? Like, absolution from these people? Like, what's his motivation? Or maybe he has nothing else to...
I think it's that he has nothing else. He has that one scene where he talks about how he would be fine being given 2 years to live because he could fuck around. Being given 30 years to live, he has no idea what he's going to do with himself. And I think that's what it is. It's that he has this realization that he has absolutely nothing. And so he goes back in time to the last time that he had anything, which was his heroin buddies.
Which was drugs. Yeah. And it's, the people he enjoyed it with.
That part made me mad about this movie, too. So I wanted one character... So what I would have liked with T2 is if one character had succeeded.
Kelly MacDonald.
You're right.
I think that's why that one scene exists, is to show, no, actually it was possible to live through that and come out just fine.
That makes me feel better. Thanks for saying that, Tim.
And I think that's also why she's only in one scene, is because, like, she's better than them. She's better than the movie.
You know what? I'm going to recant my statement then. Because I was originally going to say, like, I thought Renton was going to be that character, and then he comes in and he's like, you think he has his life together, he's married, and he says he has a kid, and then he reveals that he's getting divorced and that he lied about having a child. He doesn't really, and so you realize he's just back at the same place that he was before.
He's still an asshole.
They're
all still terrible people.
And I do want to just build on your affection for Spud from the first film. I do think Ewan Bremner's performance in the sequel is just so good and so heartbreaking. Because, again, he's the one character who's not an asshole. He's the character who has decided that he is used up everything he has and wants to kill himself.
And he wanted something better for himself and his life.
His family. He has a family and he wants better for them. And
that damn daylight savings will screw you every time.
I know. And that's, what? I feel like that he is my life, minus the drugs and minus
I am not happy to hear that.
No, but I'm always 1 hour late. Like, it's always daylight savings for me. Like, it's hard when you feel like life is daylight savings.
But I think it's also the excuse of how easy it is to come up with the reason to get back to drugs too.
Oh yeah,
it's like and it's sad.
But when he tries to, I actually thought the scene where he tried to take his own life was a really well done scene.
It was with the falling. It was so lovely.
And where he catches
him.
And
I loved
really good.
about that from a totally just like stylistic standpoint, early Danny Boyle would have done something like that as a like flashy, cool thing. And I think in this movie, it's so mournful and like it's very stylistically aggressive, but not in a way that's exciting. And I think that's kind of like what the difference is between the two, is that Trainspotting is really energetic and T2 is really a downer. It's not a funny movie. Like, there's not really gags in it the way there are in the first one.
Yeah.
I think it's a sort of bleak, like sad version of a Danny Boyle caper.
Old people that didn't do anything.
Exactly.
Can all identify. No.
So Renton comes back to Edinburgh, flies in.
Yep.
It's changed. Things are different. So he rescues, you guys mentioned he rescues, rescue when it didn't want to be rescued, Spud from his own demise, from his self-induced demise of asphyxiation. And he moves on to meet up with Sick Boy. Comes into his bar. We find Sick Boy kind of running like a blackmail scheme.
That's not clear to me.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
no,
not
that's
entirely
completely clear.
Is it a black mask? Okay.
Yeah, so he's going out. He hires
He and-
girls.
Veronica is his girl.
His girlfriend or whatever it is, to go out, exploit men, videotape it, and then he
okay.
gives them. He'll say, "Yeah, here, give us,
Give us
X amount
enough
of-
where it doesn't it won't bother you, but enough to keep me.
So
from
give me
talking.
1,000 pounds from giving
All right,
this to your wife."
I guess
kind
I
of thing.
blanked on that.
So he
Yeah.
he succeeds one time, I think, and then the second time not so much. And again, they're not.
That's
they're
not a bad
bright.
business
Not
idea,
bad business
though.
Yeah,
When you think about it.
well, that'll be our third project.
yes.
Surprised or not, Sick Boy not too happy to see his old friend Renton at first. So
Well, why would it be surprising?
He stole
right?
all
Yeah,
of his
off
money, man.
you know what's interesting about that is they hold this grudge against him for taking them, and I get it. Like obviously Spud made off with a portion of it, so Renton left a little bit before
4,000 pounds.
4,000 pounds behind. But they've put a lot into the fact that this was everything. Like they've built that up in their mind that the 16,000 pound loss would have changed the course of Sick Boy's life and Begbie's as well by default as well too. I don't know that it would have.
I don't think it would have. I mean,
No.
because we find out from Spud, like, of course he fucking shot it up. He was a junkie. Like, I think that's almost exactly the line. So, like, no, I think that I think it gets to the idea of, like, it's so easy to regret and it's so easy to point at, like, no, that was when things went wrong. And it never is. It's always 1,000 little things that go wrong. So I think it's just part of the overall idea that, like, it's easy to lie to yourself and it's easy to create these narratives where you were just the wronged fool of fate. And no, it's really just that you fucked up.
And Sick Boy makes it seem as though like things are cool, but he mentions to Veronica that I'm going to get him back though. Like I'm going to screw him like he screwed us somehow. But you can I don't know, you guys get the sense like they actually have this weird, they do like, it's hard to describe because they like each other.
Yeah.
But they don't.
But they have a grudge.
They would screw each other.
Just have a grudge.
Exactly.
Over.
Sick Boy's my second least favorite character.
Sick Boy is an unpleasant human being.
Yeah. Also don't
His
like
name
him.
is Sick Boy.
His name is Sick Boy. Anytime your name has boy in it,
Yeah.
I don't like it. Yeah.
Or sick.
They're just sick. Yeah.
Kind of not present through the first part, but we start getting glimpses now. Begbie we find is in prison, and then plans his escape through, which is a humorous shivving that he pre-plans with someone to go just enough to get him into the hospital. But the scene where the guy goes all the way through.
That Carlisle's line delivery.
It doesn't go all the way through. You can actually
pokes him in the
see
liver.
like the skin in the back pressing out, like it should go through, but it's not. I like that scene.
Oh, classic.
That was good.
He escapes and retreats back to his home and his wife and
poor wife.
Yeah, you find his grown son who's apparently going to make something of himself,
Yeah.
with which Robert Carlyle not too excited about.
Yeah.
Begbie wants his son to follow in his father's footsteps. This is the point where I started having some thoughts on Begbie and wanted to bounce it off you guys too. He's been in prison now for like 20 years.
20 years.
For the most
it is
part.
quite explicitly 20 years.
20 years.
A lot.
It's going to consummate a relationship with his wife after not, and can't perform, some performance anxiety issues.
Happens.
This is where I started thinking, and it was validated a little bit more throughout the film as well. Do you guys get the sense that Begbie is a closet homosexual? Do you guys get that at all?
Nope.
You didn't get that at all.
I
No.
was not even slightly thinking
There's like
about
little
that.
nods to it to me because later he goes and procures Viagra, and that still doesn't
I
seem
think-
to work.
And
I think
only gay
hetero-
men use Viagra.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Where does he get the erection? Only after having the confrontation with Ewan McGregor. He looks down after Ewan McGregor has taken
I don't
off.
think that's because he's gay. I think that's because violence turns him on. Or like
Yeah.
being threatening.
Okay, well that might be something. I don't know. I got the sense that maybe he's so mad at himself for having to keep a secret. I don't know. That's what I was getting.
That
Maybe
would
that's
be
what
an
it was
awfully
It's a stretch. Rob.
old plot line for a 2017 movie.
Well, they didn't confirm or deny.
But to your
I
point around the anger, I didn't think about that either. It probably is that it's I think
gets off on anger.
He
Feeds
feeds
on anger.
Oh, yeah.
and threatening other people and fighting and
Totally.
whatever.
And he does that in the first film. I
Yeah.
think that's like, yeah, I will say the Begbie plot in general, that was the one thing about the film that just made me feel, oh, you're a sequel. Like you want it to be a sequel. It doesn't
You're trying to tie everything
maybe
up.
make sense
You're
to bring
trying
it
to
back. Exactly.
Yeah.
They created a main antagonist where the first one didn't really have an antagonist.
Well, the first one doesn't even really have a conflict. It's
There's
just
no
sort of like
conflict.
stuff.
Yeah. they're all their own antagonists in this one, like they made him to be like an evil villain.
Right.
And
it's plottier.
Yes.
It has much less of that sort of loose, and which makes sense because I think the idea is that the characters' lives are now more sort of, they're thinking about that now because they're older. But like, I don't like that about it.
And now their next big con, rather than getting the 16,000 pounds like in the first one, is to start, Carrie, as you said, a brothel. And the way they do that is they need some money, some startup capital. And the EU is doing some business development loans to companies that are going to kind of bring back some things to the community. And they apply for a loan and are successful, I guess, in getting it. And that's Robert Carlyle's character, Begbie, shows back up to Sick Boy. And Sick Boy, this was an interesting turn, says, hey, I know where he's been. I know where he is. He's in Amsterdam. Doesn't give Renton away right away. What are your guys' what's the thought process there, too, on why?
I don't have one.
No?
I don't know. I don't think I was watching it for its storyline quite as much as you were, perhaps.
No, I was interested. It's like, so like clearly Sick Boy cares about or cares enough about him where he's like, oh, I don't want to fuck up this business. Like things are actually kind of cool now between us. Like, why don't you go, Bagby, why don't you go sit over there and just kind of hang out and I'll get back to you. Like, it seemed like he actually cared about him enough not to screw him over. Obviously, they bump into each other at a restroom.
I mean, I think it could just as easily be like, he doesn't want to get tangled up with Begbie because why would you?
Yeah. Now, everybody's clearly afraid of because he's a loose cannon.
Exactly.
Including his son, who they go on a burglary
I
run.
enjoyed that a lot. That was a really lovely little.
I was so worried the whole time,
comedy.
though, that something bad was going to happen to his kid and that I was going to feel awful, or his wife. And so I was just hoping, like, I held my breath through most of those scenes.
I didn't get the vibe that that's where they were, like, even potentially going to take it. Like, for me, it was just much more about, like, you know, this career criminal.
Yeah.
Just sort of fucking his way through.
But when his son stands up to him finally and is like, they're face to face, and it's that intense scene where they're staring each other down, and your dad's really violent and terrible. I thought maybe, I don't know what I thought he was going to do, but yeah. So as people who so I liked the second one more. As people who liked the first one more, would you recommend that people see the second one? Like, is it something that's a recommended movie?
I mean, I would say Danny Boyle is a good enough filmmaker. Ewan McGregor's a good enough actor. Boyle and McGregor working together for the first time since the 90s is, to me, like the second coming, because I thought they had such a great vibe, and then they had a falling out during the shooting of The Beach. So for me, these are like sufficient reasons, even without the movie being good. Like, if it were bad, I'd be like, oh no, but it's the new Boyle McGregor film. You should see it anyway. Yeah, I'd say like a fan of the original should totally see it. I think it's rewarding.
Yeah.
I think it's rewarding on its own too. I think it's a good depiction of like the ennui of middle age.
Yeah.
I agree. The problem is though, this isn't a standalone film. Like you have to absolutely
have seen the first one.
You have to see the first one. And it's very rare these days where there are movies. I can't even think of another movie where it's like, oh, you absolutely need to see the first one for the second one to make sense. But there are so many references and callbacks and things to it too. The movie wraps up with the plot taking shape. Veronica has now inserted herself and is sleeping now with Renton. She was with Sick Boy, and
well, she wasn't.
Oh, she wasn't.
They never slept together.
They never slept together. He made it seem as though maybe
I think they slept together one time.
One time
is mentioned.
Just the once doesn't count.
Just the once. Just the tip. Sorry, that's
it's a movie reference.
It's a movie
Rob's not weird. It's a movie reference.
Veronica then plots her own scam to defraud the crew of the rest of the money, and actually works with Spud to be able to do that. And he actually declines. She offers him half the money. He says no, but make sure you take care of my family. So again, Spud being a good guy, and then shit hits the fan when Bagby locates Spud and finds Spud's writing. Spud's turned into a writer now, and he's been writing on these yellow sheets of paper.
Writing the movie. He's been writing Trainspotting.
Yeah, it's the actual movie, which was what I understand was actually on the script. And Veronica comes by. She shoots a text, or he steals her phone. Bagby steals her phone and shoots a text to both Sick Boy and to Renton to meet at the bar. And confrontation ensues, and Bagby goes batshit crazy. Which was kind of enjoyable, but again, it turns into somewhat of a thriller at that point.
Yeah, it ends right. I don't think it ends well.
Yeah,
I will say that. I think that it ends badly.
And then ends with Spud taking Bagby out with a toilet. So a toilet makes a comeback
That's right.
yet again. And Veronica runs off with the money. Yeah, the ending, is there a potential for a T3? Are we going to see a T3?
Of course not.
Yeah.
No.
This
is over.
That would be silly.
Yeah.
So for one thing, the movie didn't make very much money.
Yeah.
Did Trainspotting 1?
Yes.
For what it was.
Quite, like, for the thing it was a huge,
Okay.
talked about, like, moment in indie film in the 90s.
So yeah, if we haven't spoiled Trainspotting or T2 enough for you, and you have, and you loved the first one, then we're all recommending that you should see T2.
I'm a completionist, so absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, and I didn't realize how curious I was on what these people were doing, which is why I'm asking, like, do you see, what do they do now? Like, all they have is each other.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, well, clearly we see that Renton has regressed all the way back to living in his parents' house and listening to Iggy Pop. So, like, I think
he's achieved what he was going for.
I think nothing has been learned. Nothing has been learned.
One thing our audience learned every episode, we randomly select one member of our audience to.
No, you're going to have to. That's a terrible segue.
Segue?
That was a very labored pun.
I'll just go right into it then.
Sounds
How's
better.
That? Every episode, we randomly select one member of our audience who shared their pick based on the feedback this week. Here's our winner, actually. It's Andrew Milne, who said, Trainspotting isn't what I'd call one of my favorite films, but it's pretty memorable gonzo, and it's a harrowing picture of heroin addiction without being misery porn. I agree. Also, on a personal note, it's a really unflattering portrait of a city where I lived the past 4 years, and Ewan McGregor's incendiary, it's shite being Scottish. Good monologue.
Sure.
Is the perfect encapsulation of Scottish self-loathing. He has not seen the sequel, but hopefully he gets a chance to now with his free movie rental. Andrew, shoot us an email at contact@alternatending.com for details on how to claim your free movie rental. If you want to win a free movie like Andrew, be on the lookout for a spoiler or top 5 movie posts on Facebook or Twitter to share your favorite picks. In closing, thanks everyone for listening. Check us out on social media, Facebook, Twitter, wherever. Go to our website, alternatending.com. Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or Google. Tune in for our next show where we'll be doing We're not doing that. We're doing our top. I have the wrong thing written down.
In celebration of the release of Spider-Man.
Thank you, Tim.
Which is going to be clearly one of the big superhero movies of the year. We are going to be going through our top 5 superhero movies.
And Carrie, you can't put me down, all right?
I'll try not to.
All right. Catch you then.